glasses?
And on here?
Yeah.
Can't tell.
Well, mine's recording.
Okay.
How's it going, you guys?
Peace, love, understanding.
This is for timing purposes. Okay.
Alright, ready?
Yeah.
Let's go us.
I had to do it when both are filming.
Okay.
It makes it easier for editing.
We good?
We good. Now go.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Shop Talk right here only on NeedlessEssentialsOnline.com and its YouTube channel, Channel Needless.
I'm not in costume.
I am, of course, your host, Ronnie Dean. Over here to my right is the big bad man in the business himself, Fierce Ian McPherson. Give it up, Ian. Yes. Woo! To my left, he is the man who knows more about comics, who has forgotten more about comics than I will ever truly know in my lifetime. He is Jermon Action Jackson.
Please hold your applause.
I am holding it for nothing.
I'm not holding.
And over to our left,
Wait, no,
he was he was here last week. He is now free of the confines of his Joker costume.
Not really. I got a nice little
He's still got
mark.
the scar of the Joker on him. He is the Clown Prince of the Queen City, Clown Prince of Charlotte, Victor Goldberg.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so
We're
glad you could attend. Come inside.
A fun week already in this because the convention season has launched.
Yes.
It's
Well,
launched
right.
again. After having like a month down, I
Well,
don't know.
I would-
There's
I
always
would-
conventions even on the off season.
I would-
but-
Is there even
probably
an off
say-
season anymore?
No,
I think,
technically
well,
yes.
maybe a preseason because it really picks up during the summer.
Yeah.
Summertime is when it really hits up. I think this is like
For whatever reason,
preseasons.
Arizona, the Amazing Arizona Con, seems to be the start of the convention season, they always say, whereas New York Comic Con in
Tails
October is the end. But there's always conventions going on 24/7
Yeah.
every year.
A lot
Just
of
gotta look 'em
local
up.
conventions.
Yeah.
It's just
A lot of
more
good stuff.
mainstream ones like your
But
San
we
Diego and your Wizard World and stuff. They're the more mainstream
that is very
big
true.
ones.
And normally you don't get a lot of big news coming out of the earlier conventions, but DC kind of rocked the boat a little bit by announcing that the Savage Hawkman title is getting canceled.
Wow.
A shock to probably not many. It's a book that
I am surprised. This is my surprise face.
this is my surprise face.
What I say, it's holding about right for a normal Hawkman book.
Yeah, Hawkman's always been a tough sell over the years.
Well, and the fact that this has been a book that has had so much creative drama behind the scenes,
like
as
being
opposed
back in
to
high
in the
school.
page, from it's probably its most famous writer artist that was working on Rob Liefeld's drama. Massive editor changes. I think there was like 3 in 1 month. It was like 5 in 2.5 months. It was huge changes left, right, and center. So it doesn't really surprise that it's finally kind of gone this way. But it also brings us to this week's topic, which is we're going to talk about the editorial issues that DC seems to be having. It seems like every month we're hearing about something new going on or behind the scenes. There's some major shift happening, starting all the way back from the launch of the New 52 with George Perez on the Superman titles. And I'm going to let Jermon take over for this because he is our knowledge man. Do you know anything?
I know a few things.
Well, go ahead, lay it out, bro.
Lay it on.
Lay it on, Chief.
Well, let's see. What's been happening at DC so far with their New 52? Well, in their quest to make sure they keep a book coming out monthly, there have been quite a few issues between editorial and the creative staff.
Hey-o!
To make sure the issues come
Per
out,
se.
issues are happening.
Yeah, per se.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, we have to make sure these
there've
books
been-
Continue on. Talk over Victor if you need to.
Yeah, certain titles, there have
Don't
been quite a few changeovers in creative staff. Let's see, with
Perez and Superman.
Perez on Superman, famously.
ones.
Obviously, Rob Liefeld with
Yes.
the whole fiasco with versus DC. Gail Simone and Batgirl.
And the rumor now that Keith Giffen, who had just signed on to Legion of Superheroes not even 2 months ago to work with his legendary creative partner on the Legion of Superheroes, Paul Levitz, has left the book. It's a rumor, but most of these rumors always tend to wind up being true.
Of
Sorry, I
course,
had to throw that in there because that was a late edition.
yeah, and of course, I mean, of course, it's not the highly publicized stuff, but you've seen like stuff like Green Arrow, Stormwatch, some of these other books. Just constant turnover in creative teams and
The Constantine stuff.
yeah, Constantine fiasco. Yeah,
Before it even came out, it already had a new writer to it. Like, we're gonna have this writer, but nope, we're gonna have Jeff Lemire instead.
now, in all I think I can't remember if it was that or Birds of Prey. You know, they announced kind of roughly the same time that both of those books were getting new writers, but one of them, I can't recall exactly which one. One of them kind of voluntarily left the book because they had such a big workload that they knew they weren't going to be able to stay on it.
We'll talk about, a lot of bad stuff happened. I mean, not bad stuff, but a lot of stuff kind of being aired out. And a lot of this stuff, as Liefeld would like to say, was the nuts and bolts of a comic book industry. But it seems there's a lot of high-profile changes, and a lot of creators actually getting so angry enough they're actually venting on Twitter. And the like. Liefeld, you expect that from. But what's really interesting and really started off is the first guy to actually walk away was legendary creator George Perez, who has worked in DC majority of his creative life, and has been in that structure. And his whole reason for leaving was strictly that he couldn't get anyone to tell him. Yeah.
Pure frustration.
Because Grant Morrison's handling Action Comics, which is a prequel book.
Yeah.
And he's handling Superman. And so George, of course, is working on the assumption that I need to know what's going on there so I don't uncontinuity and stuff. So, I mean, how bad? Again, Giffen actually leaving Legion of Superheroes, which doesn't have a prequel book, 2 months in. These legendary guys are walking away from the stuff. Is that just, their age at this point? Or is there something even now adding on to it, guys? Your thoughts? I mean, Howard, Vic, Ian.
I think a lot of it is the hoops that they have to jump through to where DC keeps basically trying to think of the best way to say it. They keep secrets from their writers and their artists and stuff, like from the books, to where, like with George Perez, he can't find out what's going on with the other books, so he can't work on his. And then when you have like the crossover stories, you have the one writer and artist, they're not even able to talk to each other, and they're not able to really talk to the people in the other books, so this way they can try to keep everything together. They have to go through a third person, the editor, and of course you're going to lose stuff in translation, and then you're also going to have the editor just say whatever to different people, and that right there can create frustration enough right there to where you just want to just walk away.
Well, I mean, this isn't something new, so I mean, what do you think the added pressure on this is, your mom?
I think the main pressure is just, with DC trying to keep their books coming out monthly. I mean, it's just editorials probably really putting a crunch on the creative teams.
Good point. But I mean, with Perez, what was really interesting about that is him actually saying that the editor would come to him saying he has no information about what Grant is doing in Action Comics. This is an editor. This is an actual executive of DC, and a writer is not giving him, according to the editor, writer's not giving him the information he needs for the other writer on the book. And I think George Perez has said, that's just not a respectful way to be, since you're writing several different things. So I mean, how much isn't the editor? How much is this writer? I mean, to have such a creative.
It might just be the whole environment as a whole.
Well, I think a lot of it might. You said earlier that a lot of these people have been mainstays and staples on these books for a while. A lot of it, I have to imagine, is ego.
The Perez ego.
I'm not saying that one ego could set off another ego, or it's a lot of people like, you gave me the book, I'm going to do what I want, forget everybody else. Not merely thinking they're better than anybody else, it's just that they don't think they have to answer to anybody else. I mean, these are people who have, they're used to being able to do whatever they want. And it's creative people, and they don't always share the same vision.
And unfortunately, you got to understand a lot of these creators have to understand they're kind of working within a shared universe. Yeah. I mean, the bigger picture. They're trying to create something that kind of interweaves with one another.
And Morrison's used to owning like an entire Bat franchise.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he basically had his own corner to work with, and
that's reading that always kind of what brought up to me was something a writer once told me, which is he's just happy to be able to play in the sandbox, but he has to understand that the toys in the sandbox are for everybody.
Yeah.
And he has to be able to share it with him. So is that part of this?
Yeah.
Anything? It's just there is a territorial.
Yeah.
Like, this is my Superman. You know, because I mean, obviously Grant is one of the only ones in the New 52 to be writing any sort of an origin thing. So maybe he does feel territorial.
And I'm not saying that's what's happening. It's just it seems like something that might be happening. And unfortunately, Grant Morrison being a big enough name, if he says, "I'll get my pages to you on time, leave me alone," he might be able to get away with that.
Yeah.
Because he's Grant Morrison, and if he does give his pages in on time.
And it could just,
they're not gonna rock the boat.
Yeah,
and obviously it could be a breakdown on the editorial end too. Maybe they're not. Maybe he is giving them the information, and they're not sharing it with them for some strange reason or another.
Right. That's weird. We got a lot of that stuff going on.
Of course, I mean, of course, that's all speculation.
But it's private enterprise, and they can be closed book if they want to.
And I can see George Perez having an issue of, I'm George Perez, but Grant Morrison has a much bigger name now in the comics. Maybe he doesn't want to accept that.
It's possible.
Then why would he if he actually like I'm trying to write?
Like I
this
said, I have a
Superman.
hard time imagining that they're actually like
egos like that much.
That much of an ego. I just think they don't see when they do something how much it affects somebody else.
Especially when you're working with a corporation too. I could see if they were doing 2 like indie books or something like that, and they were supposed to share notes with.
Well, one of the big things on that is, I mean, we don't know a lot about it because George, I mean, he put one thing. He said, "I'm out of Superman." The only thing he said was that he just got tired of not knowing what's going on in the action book.
Yeah.
And then he pretty much kept mum. The one person who didn't was Rob Liefeld. And we're going to come back and talk about his blow-up and the hoopla around Gail Simone as well when we come back. Stay tuned. You are
awesome. Hey. Are you filming me? You better not be filming me.
I'm paying! Oh, God.
Really?
Like camera, do that if I'm warm. I know. It's not even that big.
Pull it back up, pull it back up.
No, from like where his finger was up.
Okay.
I have no idea.